Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else Is On. It's 7 o'clock Sunday evening, time for Sunday night live chat. We'll give everybody a few seconds to jump on, and then we'll get rolling here shortly. All right, got a few people getting on with us. We are running a few minutes behind tonight. One of my computers crashed on me at 6:58 when I tried to set it. I started setting everything up about 6:50. It wouldn't go. And finally at 6:58, I had to switch to a computer. So running a little bit behind tonight, but that's okay. We'll get rolling here shortly. Rico and Jess are on with us. 65 F100's on from Michigan. Thanks for being here, everybody. Scott's on with us. All right. Looks like everybody's getting on board with us, even though we're running a little bit behind tonight, thanks to computer problems, as usual. Anyway, lots and lots of things to talk about tonight, lots of things going on, and lots of exciting things happening in our industry. So we'll get into some of that. As always, questions, comments, throw them up. We will sure try to get to them as we roll along here. If I do miss somebody, I apologize. I work with what the system feeds me. William from York is on. Dan from Defiance. Dan's always on with us. My good buddy Bill Twitchell's on. Michael from Missouri's on with us. Chris is on. 49 Cadillac valve cover, Chris. Actually, that was used from 49 up to the mid-50s. It is a 331 that was used in 39, or in 49, excuse me. 39 was a flathead. They didn't have a valve cover. So, but you are correct. It's 49 up into about 55, 56 right along in there. They use that valve cover. So, Stan's on with us. Thanks for being here, everybody. So, we'll get rolling here. Kind of trying to get regrouped here after fighting computers and having to switch computers at 6:58, but we got her done and we were only a few minutes behind. Don from Nashville's on with us. Thanks for being here. If you're on Facebook, throw it out there. Get your friends on with us so they can hang out. Randy's on with us. Thanks for being here. What's going on? Meekum had another sale this weekend. Right after Kissimmee to follow up, they had a private collection of Muscle Car City. And you can go onto their website and look at their prices. Strong again. I was amazed when I was going through the results of what some of that stuff brought. It was really surprising. But the market is going gangbusters right now. The cars were strong. They had some memorabilia to start each day with, and I thought the memorabilia was crazy high. I saw even a lot of reproduction pieces were bringing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on reproduction stuff. Really kind of shocked me, but like I said, you can always go check out their website. They sold a ton of cool stuff. 68 B body. Depends on what kind of 68 B body we're talking about there. Actually, that comment just disappeared. So apparently that one got lost. We got James on from Texas. They did sell a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool muscle cars, some old stuff. But there again, I just was shocked at the numbers. It's just everything is going strong right now in the old car market from what we're seeing. Be curious to see how things progress this spring as to whether or not things continue to open up and more of these auctions and events are going to be able to happen or not. But what is happening has been stout. There's no doubt about that. So be sure to check that out. That was pretty cool to see what they sold there because there was a lot of neat iron. Some other things going on, happening in our industry. Got Lee from New York on. Lee's usually here with us. Thanks for being back, Lee. Some big news in the collector car world is they have finally passed the laws for replica car manufacturers. Lake of the Ozarks is on with us. Susan from Lake of the Ozarks, thanks for being here. This has been in progress for about 5 years. SEMA's been pushing it to where they can make replicas, fully running, driving, brand new replicas of older model cars. I mean, obviously we're familiar with Cobra kit cars and things like that, but they've been pushing to actually be able to manufacture a complete running, driving vehicle. Let's see. Curtis from Vegas is on with us. Tracy, 64 Thunderbird parts. I do have 164 in stock for parts, Tracy. If you want to give me a call after we get done and give me a list of what you needed, I do have 164 in stock. But what finally led to this, I mean, Canada's on with us. Hey, glad Canada's here with us. They finally sued them. They had to sue NHTSA, National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. They agreed to do this in 2015. Multiple manufacturers were sitting there with kits ready, drivetrains ready, things like that, but they could not get it pushed through because NHTSA would not actually put the law into effect. Jason from Missouri's on. George from Washington State's on. Got a great crowd, great group jumping on with us tonight. Jerry's on with us. Glad you're all here. But that was what was interesting about it. Obviously, crash testing and things like that for mass-produced vehicles is not, you just can't do it for a small manufacturer doing replica cars. And that has been the big hang-up. And since the late 60s, that's been the law. You had to have so much crash data before they would let you produce a vehicle. Under this law, under the Low Volume Motor Vehicle Act, they're going to let manufacturers make up to 325 units of a particular car per year. And the company is going to be allowed to make up to 5,000 vehicles per year. Iowa's on, Pennsylvania's on. Glad you all made it tonight. So this is pretty interesting. Obviously, you've been able to buy kits for a lot of things for a lot of years, but this is going to be completely running, driving, turnkey, brand new vehicles. They have to have engines that meet current environmental standards. They have to replicate a vehicle that's, I think, over 25 years old, things like that. So it's pretty interesting stuff. And it's going to be real interesting to see how it turns out after, all the years of just strictly kit cars being able to do these. Obviously, Cobras have been a very popular one. I believe DeLorean is ready to start remanufacturing DeLoreans. There's some interesting stuff in this article about all of this. But one thing, and there's possibilities of some of them even being electric. The only interesting thing that if you're building a Cobra or want to order a new Cobra, at this point, the only approved engine for the Low Volume Vehicle Manufacturers Act is a GM LS3 crate engine. So that's, if you do want to build a Ford, as of right now, the only thing you can order is one with a Chevy motor. So a couple other comments popping up. F bodies. Adam, I've got a ton of F bodies. F bodies are one of my favorites. I've got a lot of them, both in my personal collection. I've got a lot of parts cars. I've got a lot of project cars. So I've got a lot of F bodies. So this low volume vehicle manufacturing thing is going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out, because they've been fighting this literally for 5 years to get to this point. And it looks like it's finally going to happen. So something interesting to keep tabs on, something going to be curious to see how it shakes out. Susan's asking cost. I'm not sure about cost, what we're talking about on there. What we're talking about now on these low volume vehicle manufacturers, those are all going to be different based on applications or how you order them and options and things like that. Another Chad just jumped on with us. Yep, Don made a comment, LS with a bunch of question marks. That's what, according to the article, as of this point, the only approved engine that falls under this act. I'm sure that's going to be expanded. Obviously, Ford and Chrysler both have multiple crate engine packages that do meet current emission certifications. So I'm sure we're going to see that expand greatly in the near future. Marcus wants to order a new 52 Packard. Have not heard of anyone doing 52 Packards at this point. So, but hey, maybe you've got a niche there, Marcus. Maybe you can start doing 52 Packards, and you'd probably be the only one. And you never know, they might sell. I mean, Packard is a legendary nameplate. But something interesting, like I said, we talk about different industry things on here, and it's going to be real curious to see how things shake out with this. Like I said, it's been on the board for 5 years, but we're finally going to start seeing some action. And it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out and what happens with it, how they're going to be sold, how they're going to be serviced. I mean, warranties. I mean, it's kind of, it's going to be real interesting. I guess there's just a lot of things that go along with it that could affect this hobby. And it's going to be interesting to see how they put all those pieces of the puzzle together. So, Adam's actually with us from England. Adam's asking about F bodies. So that's great to have you on with us as well. But that's something that I found very interesting after kind of following it for 5 years and hearing bits and pieces about it, to know it's finally been signed into law. and we'll see what everybody does with it. We'll see where it goes and what happens with it. Something else, the next topic for tonight, and this was real interesting, that one of our viewers brought up last week, and I had actually just read an article about it. Well, let's talk about it. I'll go back and reread the article and make some notes. And that's the cars from Cuba. There's a magazine that I get called Auto Recycler's Toolbox, because and some of you may not know that the salvage yard that I own was actually a regular late model production yard up until 2010. In 2011, they smashed it out, and I bought the dirt in the buildings. So I still get a lot of industry, information, trade information about salvage yards, recycling, things like that just still come there from years past. And like Marcus brings up a good point, how could they crash test them on, going back to the low volume vehicle manufacturers thing, and that's part of it. They'd have to build so many cars just to crash them, to test them. It wouldn't be possible. And that was the entire point of getting this bill pushed through. So Jess wants to know if anybody's doing any Nashes yet. So shockingly, Jess likes Nashes. So Rick, you must have got my pictures on the Chevelle. 79 Tasman, only LS is approved. That's at this point, like I said. And I think part of the issue with that is the bill has been held up for so long that I don't think that that a lot of these other manufacturers have really pushed it, or a lot of people have actually gone to the lengths to get the other engines approved, because this thing has been hung up for 5 years. Look how much engine technology has changed in 5 years. So that's something else that I think has held it up, and I think that's probably why at this point the LS is the only thing that is approved. But I'm sure that now that the law has been enacted, that we're going to see some dramatic changes on that rather rapidly. So anyway, I'll keep an eye out for comments on that. Anybody else has any comments, we can sure throw those in. We'll move on to the Cuba cars. Like I said, this was an article in a magazine called Auto Recycler's Toolbox that I still get, just because the yard was a regular late model production yard. I still end up with a lot of that. And I found this article very interesting, obviously, because it pertains to what we do here. Let's see. Hey, my buddy Grant's on. Grant Tommy, Straight Six Fan on YouTube. Definitely check Grant's channel out at Straight Six Fan. Adam likes Cuban cars too. Yep. And it was really interesting when I got into this article, because this article was written by somebody in the auto salvage business. So they looked at it from obviously a completely different perspective than the your normal person is going to. They looked at it from the an industry perspective, not only the cars, but how they're fixed, how they get parts, things like that. So that was pretty interesting. And I also did a little more research. I reread that article, made some more notes, looked some stuff up on the internet, did some more research. And when Cuba, it was in 59, I believe, somewhere in the late 50s, when they could not import any American cars anymore. And after that, it's been primarily Russian Ladas is what I found. So there's not 60s cars there. It is all pretty much 50s on back. And from the numbers that I could find in my research, like I said, this is just looking stuff up and trying to put some ideas together. That's 79 Tasman said. He said 59 also. So I think that's probably right. And even today, the government controls all new car sales in Cuba. So it's still tough to get cars in Cuba because it's all completely controlled by the government. But there's estimated 60,000 classic American cars in Cuba, with about half of them being from the 50s. And then they back up from there to where about 25% or 40s, 25%, or even back into the 30s. So they're estimated around 60,000 of them in Cuba. A couple of comments to catch here. Something interesting. Andrew commented on in Kansas, some of us in Kansas, that the using antique vehicle tags, regardless of modification, died in committee due to COVID. So hopefully that comes back next year, because Kansas has cracked down on running antique plates on modified vehicles. So that's good to know, Andrew. Thanks for throwing that up. As of right now, they're still looking at, if you have a different powertrain in an old car, you cannot register it as an antique in Kansas. So that's some interesting information to hear also that I had not seen. But anyway, the Cuba stuff, these cars are used every day. They're driven every day. They're their normal mode of transportation. Based on what I read in the articles, the rougher ones, the ones that aren't quite as slick, the regular four doors, are basically used as taxis on a regular basis. The convertibles and things like that, they're a little fancier. They try to take a little better care of them. They're used for tourists, to basically give tours around the island. But it was really interesting to see. I mean, these cars are basically family heirlooms. Most people can't afford to buy a car in Cuba. These cars, they've been in the family. They're passed down. They're passed down. They're passed down. They are, they are the family heirloom. They are highly prized, highly regarded, and these guys do anything they can to keep them going. It's literally the crown jewel of the entire family name is kind of how they treat these cars. They're extremely proud of them. They love to show them off. They said they were doing tours around the island. A lot of the drivers have their own unique horns, and they just love to show these cars off and have a ton of fun with them. A couple more comments I better get to before we lose them. Oh, yes. Grant, Stray Six fan, making comments on the antique tag thing. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that's what Grant said. Cars in Cuba is kind of like land in Hawaii. Yeah. So, and I apologize. I'm trying to keep up with comments. I try to catch as many of them as I can. We have had a few times where they get to scrolling on me pretty quick. If I miss somebody, I apologize. And sometimes I don't always get them fed to me. But obviously, reading an article written by a guy in the car and part business, he said obviously he was curious as to salvage yards in Cuba because there's all these American cars there. And where do they get parts? And essentially, there are no salvage yards in Cuba. They said that these cars are so highly prized that they will do anything and everything, whatever they've got to do to keep them on the road. And if something does become completely unrepairable, they are, they do end up dismantled. They are passed down to other family members to fix their cars. It's really weird when they say the Cuban car culture, it literally is a culture of these vehicles and how important they are to these people and their tourism industry, their jobs. I mean, these vehicles are their lives center around these cars. And that's right, Chris, we're getting to that next, the modifications on these. That's actually next on my notes, Chris. So that's where we're going. Yes, Jerry, there was a show on Cuban cars a few years back. Almost immediately after they opened the borders up, there was a car. I think it was just called Cuban Cars. I saw a few episodes of it. I don't remember a lot about it, but yes, Jerry, I do remember seeing a show on Cuban cars. 65-100's got a bail. Well, that's too bad you can't hang on with us. That's all right. We're glad you made it for a while. Hope to see you back next week. Yeah, that's what 79 Tasman just said. The same, the Cuban car. Mark says the craftsmanship culture exists. Nothing can't be repaired. And that actually, Mark, that's a great way to put it. And that's what these people do because they don't have the money to go buy new parts and buy new cars. They make what they have. And that was some other notes that the author of this article wrote in the Auto Recycler's Toolbox. A guy by the name of Don Belial or something was his name that wrote it. He said, you literally never know. He said he pulled up next to a 58 Cadillac and they had the hood open and had a Toyota diesel in it. He saw two 57 T-Birds sitting side by side, went over to look at them. And Marcus got a Cuban Chrome. That's what it was, Marcus. I think you're right on that. It wasn't Cuban cars. It was Cuban Chrome. The author walked up to two 57 Thunderbirds. One of them sitting there with a Y block in it. And the other one's got a Hyundai diesel in it. So, but that's what they did. That's what they had to do. That's what Adam says. They are easy and simple to work on. And that's true. And that's the thing. A lot of these cars have large engine compartments they can get in. They can swap these other drivetrains into them. And that's what they do. It's whatever they do to keep these things on the road. It is their livelihood. It is their life. And it was very interesting to read an article written by somebody in the business, in the car business, who looked at it from a different perspective than just a generic, because obviously when Cuba opened up, there were tons and tons of stuff on all these cars in Cuba and everything, and everybody was excited about it. So reading an article written by someone in the business, looking at it from a car standpoint, a part standpoint, a repair standpoint, made it very interesting. So that's why the article was so fascinating to me. John, 35 Ford pickup parts do not really have much of anything for a 35 anymore. I've pretty much sold about all I had, I think, for a 35. So that was really interesting. And one of our viewers last week brought up something about Cuba cars, and I had just read that article, so I thought. And the more I looked into it, I saw a lot of interesting facts that I was just able to share with you guys. And like I said, there's a lot of stuff out there on it, and it's pretty interesting and pretty neat. So, you can always go in and check it out. I just Googled Cuban cars and looked at some of the images, and that was even kind of cool, seeing all the different cars and how they look. They're all basically American cars, but there's slight modifications to them, slight changes to them, things like that. So. Anyway, looks like we're all caught up. And we did have a lot of people that liked that show. Got my buddy Brent on with me. He liked the show. But it was neat. And it is very interesting to see what people do what people can do when they have to. It basically said that, the Cuban mechanics are basically MacGyvers. They take what they've got to work with and they make it happen. Marcus, the best way is to call me after we get done or give me a call tomorrow. That's having that short conversation about what you're looking for is the only way I know how to do it. I know we've been over this before, and I know a lot of you have heard it before, but we're going to hit it real quick since Marcus asked the question. In case there's some new ones on, you have to call me. That's the only way. There's too many different variables in what I do. I've got 13 or 1,400 cars on the ground, and I have to know as far as your vehicle goes, year, make, model, body style, the direction you're going with your build. All that stuff I need to know to know if I've got something to help you out with it. So when we get done, Marcus, or give me a call or either later tonight after we get off or in the morning, be more than happy to have a conversation about your project, see if we got something here. Bill Twitch will ask, Clash for Clunkers coming back. Don't know. Haven't heard much about it, but you never know. So, but I have not heard anything about it. If it does, there's going to be a lot more stuff disappear, just like we're facing now with a lot of the 70s and 80s cars. When Cash for Clunkers came through 10 or 12 years ago, a lot of that 70s and 80s stuff went because they were paying so much for it. And we're having a heck of a time finding parts for that stuff now. I know I'm having trouble finding stuff from the 70s and 80s to put in the yard. I can buy more 50s stuff than I can 70s and 80s stuff, as crazy as that sounds. All right, we got Jason on. We'll get to the OTR report here in a second. Jason, our OTR buddy. Let me get caught up on some other comments, Jason, then we'll get to your OTR report. Adam asked, do I have 80s promo models? Yes, I do have some 80s promo models because I love promo models, Adam. So I've got a lot of promo models. We have done some promo models on the Toy Tuesday videos, but I do love them. I have them in my own collection, so you can check out some of those Toy Tuesday videos on on some promo models and things like that. But I do have a large collection of promos, even up into the 80s and 90s and clear back into the 50s. So, all right, time for our OTR report. If you haven't been with us before, we got our truck driving buddy Jason, runs coast to coast OTR, and every week he is kind enough to make notes when he sees cool old iron out on the highway, jumps on with us, gives us the report just in case there's something he's seen out in your neck of the woods you might be interested in. I-76 eastbound, about an hour out of Denver. He saw some early 30s pickups plus some other cars out near Denver. So if you are a little ways east of Denver, maybe, keep that in mind if you're out in that neck of the woods looking around. So as always, thanks to Jason for keeping us apprised of stuff he's seeing on the road. You never know. He runs all over the country. He may see something in your neck of the woods you didn't know about. So we always appreciate Jason taking some time out of his busy schedule to jump on with us and give us the OTR report every week. So thanks, Jason. Appreciate that. Looks like we're all caught up at this point on comments. Oh, speaking of the Toy Tuesday videos and things like that, if you're on Facebook and you want to go back and catch all of those other videos, jump on over to the YouTube channel. There's 250 videos on the YouTube channel under Nobody's Show. That's the easiest way to find all the videos in one spot. So if you're on Facebook, be sure to jump over to YouTube after we get done, subscribe over there, and check out all the videos that we've been doing over the last couple of years. You know, the Toy Tuesdays, the new inventory videos, all kinds of cool stuff on there. So if you're on Facebook, be sure to check out the YouTube channel as well to catch up with all those other videos. A couple more comments. Adam checked out a black IROC. That's, and I love IROCs too. That's one third-gen Camaro I don't have in my collection that I need to add. But I do have some pretty nice third-gen stuff, but I do not have a nice IROC. A couple things over here on Facebook. Demas just bought it. Again, his son just bought an 85 Chevy truck. Yeah. So that's there again, that 70s and 80s stuff. It's just not out there. But sounds like Demas got him a good one for him and his kid to work on. For as tough as some of that stuff's to get. And that's what he said. He has problems finding stuff for a 76 Cutlass. So they went to that pickup. 70s and 80s stuff is getting tougher by the day. If they do another cash for clunkers, we're going to be looking at it on 80s and 90s stuff next. So couple more thanks to Jason. That's right. We definitely appreciate Jason keeping an eye out for us when he's out on the road. So time for some magazine stuff. You guys seem to like the magazines, so picked out another one tonight to check out. Tonight's magazine that we're going to look at a couple of things out of is Riding and Restyling from October of 1959. There's the cover on it. This is another mini. These are super cool magazines. They definitely give a glimpse into the past of our hobby and what they did back in the day. You know, it was a completely different deal back then. We got more OTR stuff for Jason. There are 3 IROCs in Little Falls, New York on Route 5. But I think Adam's in England. So, yeah, well, I guess they're close to a port. If you could find somebody over there that knows to check on them, Adam. But there again, Jason's on it for us. So that's what's so awesome about having you guys here and everybody getting on board to help out and jump in. But some of the things that I checked out in this Riding and Restyling from 1959 that I thought were pretty cool. One of them, Ghost just jumped on with us. Glad you're here too. Great group on night, having a lot of fun. Something that was kind of different that surprised me, and this was pretty fancy custom work for the late 50s, but going to quad headlights. You know, a lot of the cars had single headlights. This entire article was on going to quad headlights. And what we've got here is, there's like a 32 Ford that they put 4 headlights on the crossbar. Several pictures of Lincoln headlights, like 58 Lincoln stacked headlights. There's a set in a 56 Chevy. And it was, something you don't necessarily think about as far as a very interesting custom job back in the day was going to quad headlights. So that was, and there again, who would think about that today until you look back at some of these old styling cues, old things they used to do. And that's what's so different about it. Because when we think of customizing today, these guys had to work with what they had. You know, today, if you're going to modify something, hop it up, you get the catalog out and order it. These guys looked around at what was out there and made it work. And that's where, the stacked headlights of the Lincolns came in. And turning the different angles of them. You may have a headlight assembly set at an angle in a different car that you would never have a clue that they could have made that happen and make it work. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And, we flip the page again, and there's several more instances of, modified quad headlights that they used back in the day. Adam likes 68 Rivies with quad headlights. Yeah, I think those were hideaways even in 68, if I remember correctly. I think I'm pretty much, like I said, I'm trying to keep an eye on both screens. If I miss somebody, I apologize. We're trying to keep an eye on both screens and keep up with our chat and our notes as we're working through here. So, what else do we have in here? Oh, this was something else kind of interesting that, once again, and this was kind of the start of the aftermarket custom parts world. You know, in the 50s, the aftermarket speed parts, the aftermarket custom parts, like we just talked about, today you get the catalog out and order about anything you want. And we're starting to see the beginning of that in these magazines. There again, we're looking back to the 50s when our industry was really, really gaining steam. And we can see the beginnings of these trends. We can see the beginnings of mass-produced custom parts to change your cars. Chris says quad headlights became legal in 58. And I think that's right, because that's about when everybody started going to quad headlights was 58. But another interesting article in this magazine was about customizing with mail order parts, about ordering tube grills, which I found really interesting, because this is in the 50s when the aftermarket industry, like we just talked about, SEMA helping push the Low Volume Vehicle Manufacturers Act through. These companies in the 50s were the beginning of this era. And this literally talks about installing a tube grill in a 59 Chevy, and it also shows one in a 55 Ford, and it also shows one in a 55 Plymouth. But it shows you how to, goes through the installation process of the tube grills. Once again, a glimpse back in time and a glimpse back at the beginnings of the industry that we know and love today and are so familiar with, looking back to where you just kind of had to make do with what you had, or get the closest thing you could that was available in the fledgling aftermarket at that time, and make it work. So I found that very interesting as well. Something else that was kind of cool in this magazine was an article on the Toledo Autorama, and had a bunch of cool pictures from that show in it. And something definitely, you look back at the trends and the styles, and we even see a lot of these trends still today. And today they're, it's kind of a retro deal as, a 50 style built car. But back then, that's what they did. So that, was also really, really cool to see that stuff and to see what they did, and covering the events like we do today. Only we read about most of them on the internet. So, and of course, we've got ads. As always, we've got to check out a couple of the ads in all these magazines, because talk about a glimpse back in time, these ads do it. We'll start off with our basic. And in all honesty, there's probably not going to be many of these magazines that we get into that are not going to have this in it. The good old J.C. Whitney ad. Some highlights from the J.C. Whitney ad in October of 1959. And we've talked a little bit about this. You could order replacement wheel covers, and these were aftermarket, of course, but these were actually the aftermarkets that were designed to resemble the OE cap. And you could order them for, a lot of vehicles back in the day, 55, 56 Ford, 55, 56 Chevy, 56 Olds. Of course, that was the Fiesta cap, which was so extremely popular. But you literally could order replacement hubcaps for your car from J.C. Whitney. Something else I thought was really cool, and I'll try to show you this. I don't know if we're going to pick it up or not, because it's kind of a small spot in the ad, but I thought it was really cool. The Voodoo head gear shift knob. $2. $2 got you your own Voodoo head gear shift knob. If we can see it there. I know it's kind of tough. It is a small ad, but just such a definitive thing from the 50s. So I thought the Voodoo gear shift head knob was cool, and a neat piece there. And also, speaking of which, of our last conversation, you could also order your own tubular type grills. Even though Adam commented he never understood them. Why just get some rods that were chrome and put them in there? But yep, right here is where you can order your own tubular grills from J.C. Whitney in 1959. Susan's got to bail on us, so thanks for being here. Maddie's on with us. Maddie's been jumping on with us. Couple other cool ads in in this issue, October 1959, of Rotting and Restyling. The Almquist Engineering Company from Milford, Pennsylvania, had both the front and the back cover. My buddy Brent says he ordered his first parts from J.C. Whitney, one of his first 65 C10s. So California just jumped on with us. Thanks for being here. But Almquist Manufacturing had both the inside of the front and the inside of the back cover in this particular issue of Rotting and Restyling. And they had a talk about running the gamut. They kind of had a little bit of everything. You could order bolt-on louvers. You could order a tack. You could order a Continental kit. You could order a dual carb setup. They had a very, very broad spectrum of what they were selling and what they had available to the car customizer in 1959. Thanks, Demas. Glad you're here with us. It's fun doing it, and glad you're here and glad you enjoy it. Thanks for the kind words. As always, I always appreciate the kind comments. I don't always get to them, especially during the week on the regular videos, but I do catch some of them, and I'm thrilled that you guys are having as much fun here as I am doing it. Actually, George, there's a problem with suicide knobs in my collection. My daughter loves them. My daughter thinks suicide knobs are so cool. So we've got a lot of really cool suicide knobs that she's latched onto that she wants to keep. So I've got a lot of cool suicide knobs, but I don't think you're going to talk her out of them. Most of them have ended up in our personal collection. Ironhead Garage is back. Glad you're here with us. He likes the Cadillac valve cover too. One other ad that I noticed in this issue of Rotting and Restyling that I wanted to bring up, because the title caught my attention. The name caught my attention. It was in a big, bold headline, but I still haven't figured out what it's for. So I wanted to bring it up. Maybe you guys know something about it, because you'll go places faster with Dragmaster right over here. Seen the big headline, Dragmaster. Wow, that sounds impressive. So what is the Dragmaster? I'm going to figure out what the Dragmaster is, because it says you're going to go faster. So I'm going to take a few seconds and we're going to go through this ad, because it is, I'm not real sure actually what it is. So, Grant's bailing off. Be sure to check him out. He's got to get back to editing his next video. So check out Straight Six Fans, see what Grant's got going on as well. Grant's a good buddy of mine. He keeps me lined out on gear and what I need to be doing on the technical side of things. So I always appreciate his help. But the Dragmaster, it assures perfect shifting, top tuning, and a radically faster ET. So wow, this is pretty impressive. You got to remember, this is 50s technology. And it's great for stockers, drag cars, track cars, and street machines. It literally says, here's the greatest Go instrument ever built. Why? Because it enables you to do these vital things. It gains 15% acceleration time. It uses tangent shifting for top go. Check out timing and carb tuning. Determines best octane for your car. Knows if engine efficiency drops. And learns of possible engine failure. It says the California-built Dragmaster, by means of tangent shifting, often can do more for Go and ET than high-priced equipment such as superchargers, heads, etc. So whatever this thing does, it's better than putting a blower on your car, according to these guys. So let's see. Trying to keep up with comments. Yeah. Ironhead Garage loves the Dragmaster. So we got Pradeep Kumar on. Glad you're here with us. So apparently whatever this is, it's better than a blower. It's better than heads. And if your engine is already souped up, and I'm reading the article, Dragmaster lets you better its results by up to 15%. No rider can afford to be without this handsome instrument, a proud ornament for every dash. So for faster strip times and better street acceleration, mail your coupon today. But this one still has the coupon in it, so I'm assuming that the coupon didn't get mailed. But anyway, never did say what it was, which is what Edward says sounds like a high school research presentation. And you're not too far off, Edward. That's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It said a whole lot, but it didn't say anything. All I can guess is it's probably a vacuum gauge is what I'm guessing. Says it mounts on your dash. I'm guessing it's a basic vacuum gauge is is what I'm guessing. I didn't do any more research on it. Just the ad just cracked me up. And Adam's bailing off with us. Glad you made it, Adam. I don't know what time it is over in England, but it probably is a lot later over there. So I am glad you jumped on with us for a while. But the Dragmaster ad just cracked me up. So I wanted to read it to you guys. I hope you guys got a kick out of it, because it was just, I mean, like I said, literally comical to say that much stuff and not say anything. But it's better than a blower or new heads. So it's got to be pretty good stuff. So, all right, let's see what we got going here. Oh, it's 1:43 a.m. in England. So, yeah, I would imagine Adam needs to get to sleep. But appreciate you jumping on, and hope you had fun with us, and hope you make it back next week. Yeah, Ironhead Garage says, yeah, it did sound good. Don't know what it does, but it did sound good. Chris on Facebook said, yeah, Chris made another good comment. You probably got to fill it with snake oil. And I'm sure that's probably 100% right, because I just read you the whole ad. And if anybody else can tell me where they were going with it or what it is, I'm all ears, because I can't figure it out. I'm just guessing it's a basic vacuum gauge. John just jumped on with us. Thanks for being here, John. So anyway, that's what we had in the rodding and restyling of October 59. Some highlight points from that. Who's ready for some trivia tonight? Tonight we've got a Mobile Gloss can that I'll be sending out to the winner. Metal can. The blue's pretty good. The red's kind of faded or almost popped off. It's like there's no red left. The white looks okay. The blue looks okay. And like I said, it is a metal can, original cap. So I'll be sending this out to the winner tonight on trivia. Tonight's trivia question, I will keep an eye on both formats as we go into this. I did a video in the New Yard last week with Jess's Nash in it. I think she's still mad at me because I put the Nash in the video. But there was just a shell of a 40 Chevy in that video, but it had an interesting accessory on it that we talked about. What was that accessory? The name and the accessory. Because the name of the accessory is kind of, the brand name is kind of what makes it so unique. So let's see, a few more comments. Lewis is looking for a Nash engine. I've got Nashes, Lewis. I don't have any engines out of them. Yeah, 79 Tasman. You just turn your stock engine into a drag car by adding that, and that's 100% right according to the ad. That's 100% right. Or like Ironhead Garage said, yeah, maybe a jug of nitro. But so keep an eye out for the accessory, the type of accessory, and the name brand of that accessory as we roll along here and see who we're going to send this can out to. Still looking for a Trans Am. If anybody knows of an 01 or an 02 Trans Am Ram Air automatic car, I am looking for one of those for race week this year, because there's going to be a lot of interesting things. Okay, Jason got it. He doesn't remember the name, but he got the whole concept and he got the whole idea. And that was where we were going with that. So Jason, when we get done, give me a call, and we will, I'll get this on the way to you. It was a gas-powered underdash heater. Small heater unit bolted under the dash in a car that did not come with a factory heater, and it was a gas-powered underdash heater that literally had lines running to the carburetor. It's so unique that I actually did a separate video on it that I'll be posting later this week, probably as just a bonus video. But Jason didn't get the name, but he had the entire concept, so I'm going to go ahead and go with that. And actually, Ironhead Garage is very safe, and that's my whole point. But literally, they ran off gasoline, and the heater was mounted in the car. So thanks for playing along, everybody. And we'll get that. Jason can give me a call, and after we get done, it's just 79 Taz. He remembers it now too. The company was Southwind. That was the most prominent. It was a Southwind heater that made the gasoline-powered heaters. But you'll definitely want to check that video out. I don't know. I may throw it up Thursday night. And I'm not getting any comments on Facebook for the last couple of minutes. I don't know if we're hung up there or not. Yeah, there again. Now they're starting to pop up. So I don't know if we had a system lag on there, Andrew, or not. And we run into that, and I apologize. The systems sometimes do not feed me on a regular basis. And I don't know if we got hung up on Facebook there or not, because nothing posted for a while till that popped up. So, but that was the deal. And be sure to check out that video on, when I post that, probably Thursday night as a bonus video. And because this one is still plumb to the carburetor. I've never set one up. I don't know exactly how they fed or how they, how it sucked the gas off or how it did it, but it's all plumbed in. So I'm going to show you that on the video. Colorado just jumped on with us. So thanks for being here, Colorado. But anyway, still looking for the Trans Am for Rocky Mountain Race Week. And there's going to be a lot of cool stuff happening in Great Bend, Kansas this year at the SRCA drag strip. As you all know, I've been getting more and more involved with the track. There is some super cool stuff coming up this year. If you are anywhere in the Midwest or anywhere around Kansas for sure, you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on the schedule, because there's going to be some great stuff happening here this year. Obviously, Rocky Mountain Race Week will start and end here. My good friend Matt Frost puts that deal together, and it is an absolutely epic time. And I can't wait to do it. That's why I'm looking for another Trans Am to run that with, because I need more. Actually, I just need more Trans Ams, and it's a good reason to buy another Trans Am. But that's what I want to buy it for. So yeah, we got some more comments coming up on people wanting to see how that heater's set up. So I'll throw that up there sometime this week, and so you can check it out and see how that thing was plumbed in. It's kind of crazy to think they were plumbing gasoline inside the passenger compartment to run a heater. But obviously, Rocky Mountain Race Week coming up, the SRCA drag strip this year. Midwest Pro Mod Series is going to be coming in this year. And we've got another big deal in the works, too, that has not been announced yet. We're trying to find dates to get these guys in here. But another super, super cool racing series that may have a shot of coming to Great Bend this year as well, if we can get it all nailed down and find them a couple of dates to come here, or at least one date. But I've been deeply involved with that organization, trying to get that deal put together. So if you're anywhere near Kansas, keep an eye on the SRCA drag strip schedule, because there's going to be some super cool stuff coming. We get this other deal put together. There's not really much of anything else like it in the Midwest at all anywhere. So really hope we can get that deal put together. Thanks, Andrew. I appreciate that. I appreciate you being a good sport about that. You must have got hung up somewhere in the feed, because like I said, Facebook did nothing there for 2 or 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden now we've had about a half dozen comments since then. So apologize for that, but that happens sometimes, and unfortunately my hands are tied. 79 Tasman, he's an RMRW, Rocky Mountain Race Week. I don't know if you've been on it before or not, but obviously if you have, or been around it, or been to a few of their events, you know what I'm talking about as far as how exciting it is and how much fun it is. Jim's on with us. Jim likes the valve cover as well. Jim's on with us regularly. In fact, Jim sometimes even looks up does a little more research on some of the stuff that we talk about and posts that for us to see too. So always appreciate that. Appreciate the engagement and all you guys being on here. It's a lot of fun, and we all learn, and that's what's great about it. I learned stuff from you guys as well. So 79 Tasman cut off. I don't know if we're having some feed problems on YouTube or not. He said he cut off. I don't see any issues on my end so far, and you're the only one that's commented. So hopefully that was just a glitch on YouTube on that. So couple more things we'll wrap up tonight. We brought up the idea of having a raffle coming up for some little better memorabilia. Obviously, we give away a can every week, but I've got some other stuff, and we talked about doing a raffle maybe once a month. And okay, great. 79 Taz, you're here. Ironhead Garage is good. Okay, cool. Glad you guys are with us. I'm talking about getting a little better memorabilia out. I've got a few extra things I would sell to start us off with. Doing a raffle on it. You PayPal me however much you want, however many entries you want. $1 an entry. And if you send me $10, you get 10 entries. We'll run it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll draw after that for the winner. And this will probably be, some of the stuff I'm thinking about starting with, 100, 150, maybe $200 pieces. We'll try once or twice. We had a lot of good feedback on it last week. If you guys think it's a great idea, let me know. If you think it's a terrible idea, let me know. And we'll try it once or twice. And obviously, if I got a $100, $150 piece, and we can't, and 6 people buy 2 chances, obviously that's not going to work because then I can't keep feeding it. But if it works a few times and we bring in some money, I'll just, if I don't have anything that I like that I want to get rid of that kind of fits that bill, we'll, you know, the next swap meet I go to, I'll try to grab a couple things and start putting some stuff together to do that. If you guys are still on board with it, we'll try to do that. We had a lot of good feedback from it last week, so still kind of curious as to what everybody thinks. Jess is still ready to go, so we'll see. We'll kick that around and see what we want to do on that as well. But I think it's a neat idea. I think it would be a lot of fun. Nothing I'm trying to get rich off of. I just think it would be something to add to our chat and give away something that's, you know, a little more cool than just the oil cans. The oil cans are just extras that I've got, duplicates, things like that. Some of this stuff, you know, you get into a little more money. You can't give too much of that away. So Lee's in. So there again, Jason's still in. Great. We're still getting good response. We'll kick that around a little bit. And next week is going to be, maybe we can try to start one for February. Next week's going to be the 31st. So I'll keep that in mind and see if we want to go ahead and maybe start rolling, start next week. And, for February, we'll maybe try to do one for February. Ironhead Garage is in. And basically the only way I can think of to do is I can give you my PayPal address. Still got great. We're still getting good support. Give you my PayPal address. You send me whatever you want. If you want one chance, you send me $1. Of course, I got to pay PayPal 35 cents of the dollar for the transaction fee plus the 3%. But so that wouldn't work out very well. But I don't care, whatever you want to do. I would ask you to at least buy a couple chances. But it's whatever you want to do. Every dollar you send in, you will get that many entries. Send me $10. I'll write your name down 10 times. We'll put them all in a big oil can at the end of the month, and we'll draw for the winner. And that will, you know, whatever that's going to include getting it to your door, shipping and everything for the winner. So we'll may try to start that for February next week. I'll look around, see what I got laying around, and see what we can come up with. New inventory. Had 2 of them come in this week. Earlier this week, I picked up a 1956 Pontiac Star Chief 4-door. And then today, actually, my good buddy Brent, who's on with me, he knows what the second one is because he went and got it for me today. 53 Ford F600. It was a farm truck with a big, some sort of box on it. They said it was a silage box at John Deere. It's got a John Deere box on the back of it. It was too long for my trailer. My good buddy Brent went and picked it up for me because he's got a long gooseneck. So we got that in, did a video on those today. So we'll get that new inventory video posted sometime this week as well. William wants to win a gas-powered heater. I think everybody would want to see you put that in your car and see how well it worked out too. But hey, maybe we can do that. Maybe we can give away a Southwind heater. But that might be kind of fun too. They are a great conversation piece, and they're very interesting. I actually found a Newell stock one time. I did sell it, but I had a Newell stock one. They're a really neat conversation piece just because of what they were. And just like when we talked about when we look at magazines and things like that, Ironhead Garage has a great idea. Don't smoke in that car. Great plan. So that's what we've got cooking on there. And all right, Georgia's still in. Great. I'll do some looking around this week. I'm still getting a lot of positive responses on the raffle. I'll do a little looking around this week, see what we can come up with for something cool to get started. 79 Tasman, he smells gas. Kaboom. Yeah, that could be bad. Jess wants a swamp cooler. I've only got one swamp cooler left, and that's the one that I'm keeping. I had another one where I did sell it. Are the inventory videos only on YouTube, Cruz? They are on Facebook on the Nobody Show page. However, you know, the way Facebook scrolls, you know, you get back to some of the older ones are a little tougher to find. By far the easiest way, if you want to see a lot of them, is just go to YouTube, punch up Nobody Show, and you know, then all the videos will pop up, and you can kind of look through whatever you want to watch, things like that. I do post 3 or 4 times a week, so. There's a lot of stuff on there from the last couple of years. I'm almost 2 years into, right at 2 years into this deal. So as far as the digital media and the videos, you know, thanks to my good buddy Mike Gowns of Gowns Media, who taught me all this stuff and showed me the importance of not only doing the videos, but, you know, and it's turned into way more for me. And to what we're doing tonight, we're all hanging out and engaging, and that's what's so awesome about it. So the new videos for this week, actually, as we're kind of talking about it, obviously I did a video on the 53 F600 and the 56 Star Chief today. Did another video in the new yard. So we'll have a few more cars from there. And one more video that is going to be kind of different. I did a video on some Hyundais. Yep, I just said Hyundai. And I've talked about this in the past. I finally met with the fire chief this week, and he likes it. He says, let's go ahead and post it. So I've got a video with 2 Hyundais in it, and I found a good use for them. We cut them up with the jaws of life. That was kind of cool. Great Bend Fire Department brought some of their new hires out as part of their training. We threw a couple of Hyundais out there for them to work on, and they cut, sliced, bent, prodded, pried on these Hyundais. So that's something kind of different than what we typically do, but very, very interesting. I actually got to use the jaws of life. They let me use, there's 2 primary tools, a big spreader and a big cutter. And it was really cool that I got the opportunity to use them. That is some heavy duty equipment. I don't know what those units weigh, hydraulically operated, but just the head unit where you've got to hold, physically hold, and either cut on the car or pry on the car, whatever you've got to do to get into that car, whatever the emergency responders have to do to get into that car. That's heavy duty equipment to make it happen. So I shot that a couple of months ago. I got it. And the problem with that video, it took some work to put together because obviously they were there for a couple hours. You can't shoot the whole thing. So I had about 4 or 5 clips that I stitched together. I got bought a video editing app for my phone and got them stitched together to where it shows some different cool things about what they're doing and how they do it. And really gives you an insight. And like I said, it was strictly a training session, teaching these guys how to do it. Kansas City's on with us. Thanks for being here, Randy. Ironhead Garage, like cutting a beer can. Well, with Hyundais, it kind of was like cutting a beer can. Yeah, Damus says, great device. True. Great Ralph. Yeah, get me a list. Give me a call on 62 Impala stuff. I don't have a ton of 62s, but I've got a little bit. So we'll see if we can help you out on some of that stuff. But there is technique, and there is the right and wrong ways to do this stuff. And that was what really surprised me. You think these guys are just going to get in there and get hacking. Great William, and that's another thing we were getting to. It was designed and built by George Hurst of Hurst Performance Products. So when we talk about that a little bit in the video as well. But when you're in an accident situation and there's some people in the car, and these guys may be on a busy highway. There's just so many variables that these guys have to deal with on a split second basis, that knowing what to do with this equipment when you're on an accident scene is so critical. And that's what we did while they were here. And that's what I found interesting. The guy that does their training for them was showing them, hey, Classic Ride Society's back with us. Thanks for being here. I hadn't seen anything from you tonight from Fort Worth. Glad you made it back. You guys got some cool stuff going on too. Ironhead Garage says saves a lot of lives, and that's exactly right. But there's so much to this because obviously a door is supposed to be flush mounted. So if it's bent in an accident, you can't just get in there and get to the hinges or get to the striker to cut it. There is a technique of, they've got I call it a spreader, which is basically looks just like this, and it can spread apart, or you can open it up and crimp in. It can go either way with hydraulic pressure. And sometimes they have to use the spreader to spread a door jamb apart to get in there to cut a door hinge or cut a striker. Something interesting else that they did is they literally took when they had it opened up as a pincher, they stuck it inside the rear fender well and put one part of it on top of the rear quarter panel, and they could smash that quarter panel down. That pulled the door jamb back as that quarter panel was crunched to where they can now get in and spread it to get to the striker plate. So fascinating. There's so much to it, and that it was really cool to be able to be part of it and see it. And, they're always welcome back anytime, and hopefully we'll be able to help them out some more. But when you get to sit there and look at it, is that something you just don't normally think about? They're supposed to get there and get to chopping and get to hacking. You just can't always get in there and chop and hack, because every situation is different. So knowing these different tips and techniques that these guys were working on was so cool. So we've got some of that coming up in that video this week as well. I'm glad I can finally post it. I'm glad I was able to meet with the chief, and he thought it was cool and was good with it. So we'll get that one out for you guys as well. So even though there's Hyundais in one of my videos, it's probably the only time you're going to see a Hyundai in my videos is this one, or if I have more Hyundais next time they come out with the Jaws of Life. But we got some good use out of them. So that's what I've got going for tonight. Any other questions or comments, be sure to throw them up. We'll sure try to get through them. That's right. Something I had not even thought about, Chris, is the special training for hybrids and electric cars, adding another question mark into the accident scene for our first responders that they have to deal with. So yeah, that's 100% right, Chris. Electric cars and hybrids are something else they have to think about and are going to have to deal with more in the future. 79 Tasman, he's seen it done before, and it is wild how they do it. And that's right, Rick. They do cut roofs off. They did cut the roofs off of these cars. I think both of them. I know one of them they cut off. Maybe they didn't cut the other one, but I don't remember. But yeah, they cut the roof. They've got to do whatever they can as fast as they can to make access to get into those cars. And, the other thing, how to access a hood in a front-end collision. Something gets hit in a front-end collision and that hood latch is bound up. You're just not going to go in and reach in there and pull the cable and pop the hood open. They've got to have ways and techniques to get into that stuff quick. Front-end collision with an underhood fire, they've got to get under there. But if the hood latch doesn't release, they can't just sit there and say, I guess we'll let it burn. They've got to get in there and get it put out. So there's so much cool stuff that they get into that you don't necessarily think about until you see them do it and see them train. So anyway, that's what I've got tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope we didn't run too long. We've still got a fairly decent crowd on here. And thanks for being here, Bill. Glad you were here. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope we talked about some cool stuff. As always, if you've got some ideas, throw them up there or give me a call. Let me know what you want to see. This deal is not about me. This deal is about you guys and all the fun we have on here. And that's true too. 79 Tasman, they cut the A-pillar and fold the roof back, depending on where they've got to be in the car. So there's just, and like you said, every single scenario is different. And that's what's so neat. And that's why they're teaching basic tips of what to look for. Ironhead Garage liked the show tonight. Thanks. Glad you guys made it back. I'll keep an eye on comments for another minute or two as we wrap up. Don, thanks for being here as well. As always, if you have any questions about vehicles or parts, give me a call, 620-786-4428. That number is on the page. Tell your friends about us. Invite them to come by and hang out. We have such a great group, and we're having a lot of fun on here. I hope you guys are having as much fun as me, and for as many of you guys as hang out here for an hour with me, that's I'm pretty excited about that, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Classic Ride Society swap meet season is finally here. There is a swap meet in Dallas-Fort Worth next week, so if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Classic Ride Society just let us in on the fact that they are going to get to have a swap meet next week. So if you are south of me, down in Oklahoma or Texas, something you might want to look into is the swap meet in the Dallas-Fort Worth area next week. Thanks for throwing that up there, Classic Ride Society. Always happy to give a shout out to events going on, because we may have other guys in your area that want to come and don't know about it. Ralph, I remember the days when all we had were tow trucks to pull cars open. Tow trucks with red lights and sirens. Ralph remembers when the Jaws first came out. So that's pretty interesting as well. Thanks for being here, Ralph. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for being here, George. There again, a lot of comments on you guys and how much you enjoy it. And it means a lot to me. I never in a million years thought that this would really be anything that amounted to anything. And you guys keep jumping on. And not only to jump on, you engage. We have a great conversation and we help each other out. And there's a lot of great guys on here. Ralph is in South Dakota. That's where Ralph's at. So anyway, it looks like we're wrapping up. Nothing else is feeding right at this second. So as always, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you guys stopping by. And it is a lot of fun. Tell your friends about us. Have them come out and hang out with us. If you're on Facebook, be sure to jump over to the YouTube channel. You can check out all those videos because we are on the Nobody Else's Auto page on Facebook. And I do share some of those videos over there once in a while, but I get busy and I forget to do them. But you can go to YouTube and check out a lot of the videos over there as well. So great. Classic Ride Society is going to do a video on the swap meet next week in Texas. So you can check out Classic Ride Society on YouTube as well, see what they got going on. But hey, the way last year went, it's pretty easy to get excited about anything happening. So fortunately, at least there is some stuff happening in our industry now, and we're going to get to have some fun this year. So let's keep our heads up, keep a positive attitude, keep a smile on our faces, and let's go have some fun with our cars this year. I'll get some more stuff ready for next week. We got the videos coming out. Toy Tuesday. I may be out of town part of the day Tuesday, so keep an eye out on Toy Tuesday on posts on that, because I may be running late depending on when I get back to town. I'm supposed to get a bunch of weather tomorrow, and depending on what that weather does is going to depend on whether I'm going to be out of town all day Tuesday or not. So we'll try to get something in Tuesday night. We may be a little bit later, but we'll still try to do something for Toy Tuesday. And got the other cool videos coming for you. So thanks for being here, everybody. Super appreciate you stopping by. Had a great time with all of you tonight. Hope you had fun as well. We will see you hopefully back here next Sunday night for sure. Be sure to check out the other videos this week. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.